Folks, there is yet another prospect who has gotten a top 30 visit with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This time it is Iowa edge defender Lukas Van Ness. Now, Lukas Van Ness is a pretty interesting guy. I actually just wrote an entire article over at BucsNation.com about the possibility of the Buccaneers drafting him, why I felt like it could be a good idea, and where his potential fit on the Buccaneers would be. If you guys do want to go read that article, hey, go and check out that. I will leave a link to it down in the pinned comment, down in the comment section below. And I'm not going to, replicate my article word for word here in this video, but I will say it was pretty handy because I've gotten pretty familiar with Lukas Van Ness over the past couple of days, and folks, what I can tell you is that this guy is pretty darn good. 6'5", 272 pounds, overall great size for an edge defender in this Buccaneers style of defense. I feel a very, very good fit at that, and whenever you look at the athleticism and the overall combine, firstly, Lukas Van Ness did all of the workouts there, which I think is always a respectable thing that you want to see from a edge defender, or really any athlete at the combine. And he had a 4.58 40-yard dash, a 1.64 10-yard split, 31-inch vertical jump, 9-foot 10-inch broad jump, a 7.02 3-cone drill, a 4.32 20-yard shuttle, and 17 reps on the bench press. Now, in terms of his athleticism score, at least for the 2023 combine, at least according to NFL.com, he ranked out as 9th out of all the edge defenders. Overall, not bad, and I think that was a good thing to see out of Van Ness. You look at the production as well, and he had some really, really solid production in his final 2 years while he was at Iowa. I think that overall, whenever you look at Van Ness and what he can offer, you're getting a guy who can offer you a complete package of a run defender and a pass rusher. Just take a look at his stats. In 2021, he had 8.5 tackles for loss and 7 sacks. In 2022, he had 10.5 tackles for loss and 6 sacks. That to me shows some pretty good production both in run defense and in pass rushing as well, something that you always want to see out of a potential starting edge defender, and Van Ness checks off those boxes with good enough athleticism. Now, is he going to wow the world like a Nolan Smith or Adetomiwa out of Northwestern? No, not necessarily, but I think it's solid enough, right? It's not bad, it's not phenomenal, it's good. I would label it as good athleticism out of Lukas Van Ness. And overall, I think that he's got everything that you want to see. He's got the size, he's got the run stopping ability, he's got the pass rushing ability. Everything that you want is there for Van Ness. The only problem, whenever you think about the possibility of the Buccaneers taking Van Ness at pick 19, is that right now as it stands, Van Ness has been getting mocked pretty darn high lately in some of the more recent mock drafts. I've seen him go as high as number 6, I believe, to the Detroit Lions, and in the early teens, 10s, things along those lines. That is where Van Ness has really been showcased in a lot of the more recent mock drafts. There's no doubt in my mind that he's going to be a first-round pick. I know I kind of messed it up on one of these prospect videos that I did recently. I believe it was BJ Ojulari. I read a couple of mock drafts that had him going in the first round, but it seems like the general consensus for Ojulari is that he's going to be more of a second or third round guy. For Lukas Van Ness, no, I'm pretty confident to say that this dude is going to get taken in the first round, I think relatively early at that, so there is a chance that this man won't even be available at pick 19 for the Buccaneers. But if he is available, I think that he would be pretty well considered. The Bucs, as I've said in the past, they have Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, they did bring back Anthony Nelson, they have Shaq Barrett, who is still recovering from his Achilles injury. Who knows if he will be ready to start the season, but you could always use more depth edge help, and I think Van Ness is a guy who could just not only play edge, but if he bulks up just a smidge more, right? 272 is not bad. I think you could already play on the defensive line in some capacity in a 3-4 defense or in a hybrid exotic type of defense that Todd Bowles likes to run, but if you bulk up just a little bit more, maybe get to 280, you could be even more potent in terms of the versatility that you could have as an edge defender, as a guy who can put his hand in the dirt along the defensive line, and just overall create a lot of interesting mismatches or matchups just in general, and really work some of that creativity that we've seen from Todd Bowles in terms of generating pressure and getting to the quarterback if Van Ness is in that mix as well. One thing I want to say here, and I understand obviously Todd Bowles is a defensive-minded coach, we all know this, but so far we have done so many of these prospect top 30 visit types of videos, right? And I've had a lot of fun doing them, but I'm noticing a trend in terms of the prospects that have been visiting, right? Specifically in terms of edge rushers and defensive players in general. Right? We've had Nolan Smith visit the Bucs. We have had Odetamiwa out of Northwestern visit the Bucs. He is another top edge defensive line prospect. We've had BJ Ojulari visit the Bucs. We have had a couple of some other guys like Carl Brooks, who I'm a big fan of, visiting the Bucs. Guys in the first, second, and third round, all along the defense. We've even had Marte Mapu visit the Bucs, a linebacker slash safety prospect. Now you have Lucas Van Ness. Now you have Julius Brents at cornerback as well, who has gotten a top 30 visit. It seems like the general majority of these players so far have been on the defensive side of the football. Now, that could be because, obviously, Todd Bowles is the defensive-minded coach, but that could also be because that's where the Buccaneers may genuinely be leaning with their first couple rounds of picks, be it edge defender, cornerback, some of those defensive line, I should say as well. Some of those options may genuinely be on the table there in the first 3 rounds. We've only had one offensive tackle prospect get a top 30 visit so far. That was Darnell Wright out of Tennessee. We have had Chris Murray out of Oklahoma get a visit. We've also had a quarterback visit in Clayton Tune, but that is it in terms of offensive guys. Those 3 guys are the guys who have gotten top 30 visits so far on the offensive side of the football. On the defensive side, you have Brents, you have Lucas Van Ness right now, who has gotten it. You have Carl Brooks, you have Adetomiwa out of Northwestern, you have BJ Ojulari, and you have Nolan Smith. That is twice as many guys on the defensive side of the football getting top 30 visits versus the offensive side of the football. Now, this could also be because the Buccaneers are just comfortable with some of the prospects on the offensive side of the football that are out there, but to me, it does seem like, in my opinion, this isn't sourced or anything, just me looking at the information that's presented there, it does seem like that the Bucs are really doing some due diligence and putting a lot of time and effort into some of the top defensive guys, specifically edge rushers and defensive line, in the first couple of rounds of this upcoming NFL draft. But what do you guys think about Lucas Van Ness? What do you think about the entirety of the Buccaneers' top 30 visits so far up to this point? Let me know your guys' thoughts and opinions. I would love to hear them. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hope y'all enjoyed. And as always, folks, I'll see you all in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now, and go Bucs.